Hello, everyone. By watching our videos, you agree and understand that the information provided by our experts and attorneys, including comments and replies from users, is not legal advice. So, use of information is at your own risk. I am Nipasa Pradhan and welcome everyone to Immigration and Jobs Talk Show. Very happy to have you here wherever you have joined us from, whether it's on Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, Instagram, even, and YouTube, of course. So thank you so much. And it's going to be a great show today as well because we are going to have a very, very exciting duo, I would say, from, well, let me just go one by one. And we're here to discuss all things about immigration and delve into the nuances of, navigating the complex world of visas and immigration law. So today it's going to be even more special because lined up for you, we have two distinguished immigration attorneys from Argo Visa, and they are Maggie Ramsey and Swati Patel Vasan. So thank you so much, both of you. Welcome to Immigration and Jobs Talk Show. How are you doing?
Doing great, thank you. Nipasa, let me just clarify that I'm not an immigration attorney. At Argo Visa, we are former U.S. visa officers, former American consulate
Right.
officers who do have expertise in visas, but we are generally not qualified attorneys, and we do not give legal advice. That's not part of Argo Visa, but we do give advice on visa interviews and coaching to help people prepare for their visa interviews.
Right, my bad. I'm sorry about that. I was just going to go to that bit, but well, every time but we are definitely going to talk about visas and immigration, and it's going to be a good conversation, I hope. Looking forward. And well, okay, let's go to that then. Let me just introduce a little bit and maybe let's go one by one. Maybe Maggie, let's start with you. Well, Maggie is a former foreign service officer with US Department, and she has been in embassies and consulates in Mumbai, Warsaw, Poland, Toronto. And tell us more about yourself, please, Maggie.
Absolutely. So I worked for the US government for over 11 years as a visa officer. And during that time, I lived and worked all over the world. I worked at the American consulate in Mumbai, in India, for 2 years, where I did visas. I also worked in Europe at the American Embassy in Poland. I worked in Canada at the American consulate in Toronto and also at State Department headquarters in Washington, D.C. During my time with the US government, I adjudicated or made decisions on over 25,000 US visa applications. And so now I do consulting work for Argo Visa, where we help people prepare for their visa interviews, uncover their highlights, and help them build their confidence and give them a better chance of succeeding at their visa interview. Thank you for having me today. I'm happy to be here.
Thank you so much. And I'm sure your expertise is going to just make our show a very, very enlightening one. And let's go to Swati now. Well, Ms. Swati Patel Vasan, nearly 14 years of US federal government service. Tell us more about yourself, please.
Sure. Thank you for having us. So I have 14 years of federal service, of which I was an immigration officer first for Department of Justice and Homeland Security, and then I moved over to State Department as a Foreign Service officer, where I served in other additional 11 years. I had assignments in Honduras, in Mumbai, at the Mexico desk in headquarters in Washington D.C., and at Mumbai again. So out of my 14 years, I have about 7 years of specialty consular work. I've done close to 100,000 different kinds of visa adjudications of all categories of non-immigrant visas, immigrant visas, citizenship, and certain complicated cases. I've been consulting now for Argo for quite some time, and we love helping people really navigate and understand um, their situation in particular.
It's going to be awesome. And I think without further ado, let's just dive into today's discussion, where we'll be exploring, some of the most pressing immigration issues and shedding light on key aspects of visa applications. And today's topic is on the screen. Well, if you are at risk of getting your F-1 visa refused, and you'll be getting important life updates. So stay with us because it's going to be very, very interesting. And before I go into the questions, I just want to tell you there's a special contest we have running during today's show. And yes, it is a quiz. We will be asking you a question. I will tell you what the question is in no time. You just have to stay with us, all right? And you can comment your answers. And guess what? The best thing is that there'll be prizes worth sorry, prizes worth $100 from High Writing People Inc. And they're up for grabs. So make sure you participate, okay? All right. So without further ado, let's dive into our first question. So we will be checking on the most common reasons of F-1 visa refusals. And let's go with Maggie first. How do GRE and TOEFL scores influence the F-1 visa
Mhm.
application, especially when they are just on the threshold of university requirements?
Mhm. Yeah, so to start off, Nipasa, I just want to address the more general question first, which is what are the most common reasons for F-1 visa refusals? And I think when we think about that, we think about, first of all, the visa officer needs to convince, the applicant needs to convince the visa officer that they are a genuine student, that they have a genuine intent to study in the US and do well in their studies. So that's the first thing that they need to do. The second thing is the financial aspect. Do they have enough resources, enough finances behind them uh, to support them during their studies? Do they have enough money to cover tuition, room and board, et cetera? So that's the second thing. And the third thing that the visa officer is looking at is, does this person have ties to their home country? Do they plan to return and take up a job in their home country? So they are looking at those three major things. So those are some of the most common reasons for F-1 visa refusals involve when an applicant is not able to articulate good answers to those 3 points. And so to go a little bit further into detail on this question about how the test scores, such as the GRE and the TOEFL scores, could influence the F-1 visa application. To be honest with you, when I was doing this work, worldwide in India and elsewhere, I was not super focused on the details of people's test scores. You have to remember, this is a very short interview. This is 2 or 3 minutes that you have to convince the visa officer that you are a genuine student and you genuinely want to study in the US and it makes sense for
Mhm.
your life journey. So, yes, test scores are good and you want to do well, do as well as you can. But at the same time, I was not sort of making decisions based on test scores. I would make decisions based on, did this person get into a good university? Are they telling me, a genuine story about what they want to study? Do I think that they
Mhm.
have enough money? They have the requisite financial backing for this. So,
Mhm.
I think in test scores, I wouldn't get too hung up on them. You want to do well, of course, and of course that will help you get into a good university. But at the same time, I wouldn't, get overly fixated on test scores when it comes to the visa application.
I couldn't
Right.
agree with Maggie more actually on that part. I couldn't agree with you more because the applicants are totally thinking about their test scores. Why test scores are important for them is because it helps them determine which universities, colleges they're going to get into. That's why they take those tests to determine the proper fit of the university for them. So for the visa officer, that's not the most important thing, how well they scored on a test. Even rarely, sometimes a visa officer will ask, "What was your TOEFL score?" for example. So just
Mhm.
totally supporting what Maggie said. It's exactly that way.
But how do you know it's a genuine story?
Go
Are the
ahead.
officers trained?
Yes, I think so. I mean, you're having a conversation here. You're telling them, why you applied to this university, why this course is important to you, what this means for your future, what kind of job you'll be able to get afterwards. And so, if you're speaking like you're having a conversation with the visa officer and you're being clear and convincing, with your story, visa officers are trained to interact with people and to see if they're telling the truth and if they're being genuine. So I think that's the most important thing to think about.
Do you go most of the time with your intuition then?
It's a combination of factors, actually.
But yes, well, I would just say hi to everyone who have joined us. There've so many messages I can already see. We will have to take them up for sure. I will take them up in between as well. So wherever you've joined us from, if you could also tell us which city and state you've joined us from, it would be very great because we would be able to answer precisely. All right, so moving on, let's go on to the next question I have for you. How does the intent to immigrate affect an F-1 visa application when the academic scores are barely meeting the criteria? Have you had cases where, they've had less scores, but then they still want to come?
So, I'll take this one, Nipasa. So, the intent to immigrate, that is something that you need to convince the visa officer that you do not intend to immigrate on this visa. This is a student visa. This is meant for study. And then at the end of your studies, you are meant to return to your home country. That is the intention of the visa. So, you need to be keeping that in mind, during the interview. In terms of academic scores, if they are on the lower side, that will call into question whether or not, that person is suited for academic study in America. So if your scores are on the lower side, or maybe you got into a university that has lower admission standards, that will require some explaining about why this is the right place for you. And so, there's a couple of different things going on there, but you do need to convince the officer that you do not intend to immigrate, that you intend to return to your home country. And then you need to address academic scores if they are not super high. You need to say, this is still the right school for me. I plan to, improve my English or whatever it is. And, you need to convince them.
Right, right. And, Maggie and Swati, we are actually having a lot of people asking score related to scores, questions related to scores in our groups. And I think I would just like to know, what if visa applicants come prepared with a story to fake? How about that?
So I'll just jump in here. I think,
Sure.
see, visa officers, not only do we have training in what we're doing, we actually have totally official training in what we do, immersive training. But after that, visa officers doing consular tours get assigned to all sorts of different places where they get a lot of immersive experience, as Maggie alluded to, not only cultural
Mhm.
training, but also they get a lot of experience of just actually doing the visa interviews. In most posts, before an officer starts interviewing themselves, when they're new to that post, they're usually doing some shadow training with another senior more officer. And then the roles get reversed where the new officer is adjudicating and a senior officer is still overseeing before the reins are totally handed off. So it is a lot of experience that comes into play here and a lot of training.
I'm sure there's no doubt about that, by the way. All right, let's move on. Maybe let's take up a question from the audience so that, let's take up okay, hello to Hero S, Mia and Ali. They're saying hi. Hello, ma'am. Okay, Jerry is saying, I have been denied 3 times and I have an upcoming appointment. Is there a follow-up or okay? And it's an F-1 visa. Yeah, that's it. Any comments? Would you like to take it up, Swati, maybe?
Sure. So, Jerry, this depends a lot on your individual case. For everybody, it's a little different. So, it depends on what your situation is. How many schools did you apply to? Why did you apply to those schools? Did in between those three denials, did you switch schools thinking that would help you better to get an approval? So, that can really depend. And then it's more important about what are your real intentions. If you just keep applying but nothing's really changing, or you're not able to communicate why you really need the said degree, or why you've decided to apply to this, or how it's going to change your life, then yes, it can definitely affect you. And also, the other thing is, if you've been denied once, it's always much harder to get approved. So every time you rack up a denial, it gets that much harder. And most times the interview becomes shorter and shorter. Plus, the officer has notes of all your previous interviews. So they are reviewing that. So it's more and more difficult. And that's why we come into play here at Argo to help you understand how do you counterbalance that.
All right. Jerry, I hope that's going to boost your confidence, but here's wishing you good luck, for the upcoming appointment. I hope you crack it somehow. All right. So let's move on to the question, still talking about refusal, visa refusal for F1. So let's take it up. How critical is the visa interview assessing the credibility of a student's academic and test score claims?
Hi, Maggie. Stu, you want to take this one as part of your
Yeah,
first?
absolutely, absolutely. So I would say that the visa interview is quite important. It is very critical. That is the time at which you can explain yourself. You can explain why you chose this college, why this course of study is important to you. What this degree is going to do for you in the future. What your career plans are, how you're going to return to your home country, and what kind of job you could get. All of that. So definitely the visa interview is very important. So this is why preparation is so key. And that's why, if I can just plug Argo here, having preparation, with one of us from Argo, we can really help boost your confidence. We can run those mock interviews. We can, let you know some questions that might be coming your way. We can help you, find the right answers to explain your situation. Because the visa interview is very important. That's that is a hurdle that people have to overcome. So definitely it is important to assess the credibility there.
Right, right. And what about, let's take this one, please. It's from the audience. And I have skin issue on my palm since childhood, and my fingerprints are never clear. I'm afraid about my biometrics for F1 visa. Can you tell me, is there any alternative for this? Let's go with Maggie, maybe, if you could take this, please.
Sure. I do remember we sometimes we would see this sort of issue with biometrics, and there's other sort of. I think that you would still have to give fingerprints to the best of your ability, but then there also is the photo that you're giving, and obviously other forms of ID. So I think you just do the best you can, and I think you can take the advice of the embassy when you're there. I don't believe it would be a deal breaker, but I think that you would have to explain the situation and why maybe your fingerprints are not as good quality as typical.
Right. And I'm sure there'll be proof. I mean, maybe some dermatologists can even give you some certification about that, right? What do you say?
Sure, sure. If you'd like to bring a medical note, absolutely. Sometimes people who are doing, manual labor or farmers, et cetera, sometimes their fingerprints are just not that good, and that's just, that can't be helped. And so, they can still give just the best quality that they can in terms of fingerprints, and then, it generally works out.
Yeah.
It's
And we
okay.
see
Right.
that a lot in elderly applicants.
Mhm.
Sometimes their fingerprints aren't great. So there is it's just because the biometrics are not turning out 100% perfect is not a correlation to that. Because of that, you're going to get your visa denied automatically. So I want to make that clear. They will have some way to make sure you still get your interview, and they will do whatever internal processes that they have to do to proceed.
Mm.
Right?
Nothing to be afraid of. All right. All right, let's move on. Let's get back to still talking about F1 visa refusals. So, how does the intent to immigrate affect an F1 visa application, when the academic scores are barely meeting criteria? I think we took this up already. So, what steps can applicants take if their F1 visa is refused due to academic concerns then?
So I think we're still, I'll kind of, address this one since it's all, in the same vein here.
Okay.
If the issue is academic scores, they could sort of, try to help explain again why this is the particular university that is the right one for them. It is about the story, and certain colleges are right for certain people, certain courses of study. It is about why you want to study at this college and do this program, and why this is the right thing for you, and how this is going to affect your future. So it is quite individual. um yeah.
All right. Okay, please don't forget to subscribe to our channel. This is Immigration and Jobs Talk Show, and we will be very happy to have you and answer all of your questions. Also, don't forget to comment your questions. We can already see a lot of questions actually from so many folks out there. Thank you so much for joining us. And yeah, let's just be take this one up from LinkedIn. This is from Akshay. Good morning. I am Akshay, having 6+ years of experience as a data scientist. As I want to have my further career in artificial intelligence field, I would like to do masters in artificial intelligence and algorithms from Wayne State University. Since it's not complete, I'll just read the rest from my end. But my F1 visa got rejected twice during spring 24 with 214B regulation. Any suggestions from your side how to fulfill with 214B regulation?
Maggie, you want me to take this?
Yes,
Yeah,
sure.
sure,
Yeah.
Swati, please go ahead.
So it is always case dependent. Okay. So if a person, if a student has done a bachelor's in something, see, in an F1, an officer, as Maggie said, wants to see, were you a credible student before? Okay, and are you going to be a credible student? So if there is a change in subject, for example, yours is data science to now you want to do artificial intelligence, it still has to make sense. Is there some sort of connection? What is the kind of work experience that you have in which field? Are they related? Have you done something that merges the two? Or why do you need to switch now? Why do you want to switch now? So all of that stuff will make a difference. And basically, when you are presenting yourself in the interview, that's the most important thing. It is not just a blanket um, a denial, or okay, you're approved because you've done a data scientist and you've had this work experience and you're going to go for your master's now in something else. It is more about explaining to the officer why this makes sense for you. um so that's what I can tell you here.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Swati, for taking that out. And I hope, Akshay, you've got your answer. If there's more you want to know, keep commenting your question, please. And well, I think we will get back to our questions then. And this one is for Swati again. Can insufficient financial proof, combined with borderline academic scores lead to F1 visa denial?
Yes, absolutely. Because one of the main criterias, and it's not just the borderline academic scores, even without that, one of the main criterias for an F1 student is you should be able to fund your full first year comfortably, and you should have funds accessible to be able to fund the duration of your studies. Okay, so if your course is going to take you, your bachelor's program is going to take you 4 years, or your master's program is going to take you 2 years, you need to be able to demonstrate that yes, the first year is covered. It could be covered in a combination of ways: scholarship, loan, parents are sponsoring, or it could just be one source. But then the second year, whatever the amount is showing on your I-20, plus any sort of living expenses and extras that you would have, there, your family situation, wherever the sponsorship is coming from, which is usually the family, but that situation should be strong enough that is able to make sure that you're going to actually study, and you're not going to need to seek um an a job, for example, to supplement your expenses, which, or something, do something which is not in line with your F1 visa, because that's where you start getting into trouble. So that is where the officer is uh, really that's the perspective they're coming from. So it's, yes,
Mhm.
it's really important.
Okay, thank you. Thank you so much, Swati. And let me just take this opportunity to remind folks out there that we are actually running a contest, and winners will receive goodies valued $100 from Higher IT People Inc. And well, we will be announcing at the end of this show itself, the winner. So, are you ready for the question? Well, please also make sure that you're participative throughout this whole show. Also, all right. So the question is, can F1 students legally work in the U.S. immediately upon their arrival? Reply with true or false. Okay. Let me repeat, and you can already see it on the screen. Can F1 students legally work in the U.S. immediately upon their arrival? So true or false. Okay, we'll be waiting for your answers and let's see what you say. All right, so my next question is for you, Maggie. And, in terms of securing an F1 visa, how important are strong ties to one's home country, especially when academic scores are marginal?
Ties to one's home country are very, very important. And the reason for this is that, for this visa category, for the F1 student visa, there is an assumption baked into US immigration law that a person applying for this wishes to immigrate to the United States. So basically, what they need to do at the interview with the visa officer is convince the visa officer that they do not wish to immigrate, that they actually wish to return home and take up a job
Mhm.
in their home country. So having very strong ties to one's home country in the form of family ties, social ties, financial, economic ties, etc. That's very important. So this is an important thing to be conveying to the visa officer. um, yeah, very important.
Okay, thank you, thank you. And I mean, I have no words. I'm running out of words because there are too many, in fact, too many comments, so many participants. And I think we should just quickly scroll the screen to give you a look. I mean, just look at the side of my screen and yeah, I mean, that's so many actually. Well, keep commenting, I would say, and we are going to take your questions up. And yes, also participate in the contest. We have $100 goodies for you from Higher IT Inc. And let's move on. Let's move on to Swati. This next question is for you. Well, in are there any less common academic related issues that might lead to an F1 visa refusal?
Yeah, sure. You know what I've been able to realize is from a lot of the theme of the questions, it seems that the concern for a lot of your audience is that about academic scores. So as
Right.
Maggie, said, it's not really about just the academic scores. So if you're thinking
Mhm.
it's the academic scores, then what else? If that's not really it, then what else is a visa officer really looking for? So here, one of the big things is a gap. Okay. Now, there's a lot of reasons that somebody can have a gap. There's a plethora of reasons, right? But the point is, you should be able to explain that gap. And in that gap, if you are a genuine student, you would have likely still continued to do something that shows that this is definitely the career path I want to follow. The gap could have been because of COVID and you had to do some online programming classes. It might have been some certification course to make sure you were still up on the latest industry um, standards, I think, in your respective field. So, what did you do with that gap? And a lot of people, unfortunately, students, especially when they're going from a bachelor's, they have a gap, then they're going to master's. They they undervalue the importance of being able to have a productive gap and be able to explain it. So that is definitely an important thing. If you are going to need a gap year for whatever reason it may be, whether it's personal or professional, you still have, and you then decide to pursue a further studies, you have to be able to justify why that gap is, because it goes to the points of an F1 student. The very first thing is, were you a credible student? Second thing is the finances. Third thing is, are you going to be a credible student? That means, what are you going to study? Why are you going to study that? Why do you need it? So that is a really important part that I think a lot of students overlook.
Mhm. Right, right. And just like we were showing you, there's too many comments. And I know, I feel like we've been going over and over about just scores. So I'm sure, we may have to sit here forever to answer our lovely audience. But nevertheless, I think we should definitely jump into some of their questions. So let's take up this one. This is on, this is from Ibrahim. And hi. Oh, sorry. Let's take this one first. Okay. On YouTube. This is from Munib. Hi, my F1 visa was refused under Section 221G in May 2022, as some additional documents related to my program were required, which I submitted promptly. However, there have been no updates till now. So what should Munib do? Swati, let's have this answer from you.
Okay, so 221G is basically administrative processing, right? When you're checking in, technically in the portal, it will show you that you've been refused, but it is not that. So one of the main two reasons you have 221G is because either the officer needs to do something internally, or the other reason, which is in your case, where they tell you, we need X, Y, or Z in order to finish processing your case. Okay. So now you've submitted that. The thing that usually happens, this is an internal processing kind of thing. Okay. It depends on how busy the post is, what their staffing is like, how their schedule is lined up, how many interviews do they have. Because all the 221Gs that come in later, when you have to actually submit something, then they are sometimes, depending on the post, they are done when they're sent to the officer that adjudicated in the first place. They're correlated. That officer might have some afternoons to look at it after they're off the visa line. Sometimes in
Mhm.
post, in places like I served in Mumbai, we had once a week where we were able to spend part of an afternoon to correlate all the pending 221Gs. So you can only imagine. So sometimes that time is not because you didn't submit what you needed to submit. You are supposed to do the needful, and then you kind of have to wait and watch and be patient. Okay, they will respond to you. Unfortunately, I know the biggest fear with 221G is when. Unfortunately, that nobody can tell you. Okay, so you have
Okay.
to respond, you have to wait, you can follow up after some time, but they usually tell you you should wait XYZ number of days. Sometimes it's
Mhm.
90, sometimes it's 180. It depends on what their internal processing is as well. So you should kind of abide by that, and it should be okay.
Okay. All right. So Munib, just stay patient. And he has a follow-up. I have a new I-20 in different programs. Should and can I reapply then? He's
Maggie, do you
asking.
want to jump in? I'm
Sure,
happy for you to jump
absolutely.
in.
Yeah. Yeah, Money, I would say yes, go ahead and you can and should reapply. If it has been, going on 2 years now since the 221G refusal, pending case, then absolutely. If you have a new program, new I-20, go ahead and reapply and, see if you get similar additional processing or if this time, maybe it's different. So I would go ahead and reapply.
Okay, Munib, you can definitely go ahead then. All right, let's take this one up now. This is from Ibrahim. He's asking, hello from Pakistan. Hello. My F1 visa is next week and I'm confused. My MFA program is 3 years long, but my I-20 has an end date that is 8 months earlier than the actual duration. So what should he do?
Okay, so F1 is a duration of status. Okay, so when he's at the interview, there has to be, it has to make sense. Why, if especially if the visa officer is asking, why is your I-20 say your program's going to end within this much period, but you are saying it's going to take 3 years. Okay, so if it's genuinely going to take 3 years, you need to be able to explain that. And if it is really 3 years, ideally you should get an updated I-20 from your school that reflects the actual duration of your program, because that is going to be very, very important. If the I-20 is saying no, 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 you need to be able to complete this MFA in only this much time, then your plan, your course of study, etc., should be able to also meet that. Okay, the F1, certain F1s will allow you CPT, OPT, STEM, OPT, XYZ, but obviously that's another whole topic in itself. But yeah, you should try to get an updated I-20 if your actual program is indeed longer than what your I-20 says.
Right. And he has a follow-up. So let's take that up at one go. So Ibrahim is asking, Control, please display that, please. Okay, there are too many chats. I'm so sorry. Like we are actually bombarded, and it's going on. But I hope, Ibrahim, you've got your answer. And all right, let's just go on. Let's go on then. Let's go to the next one now. I think this one should be for Maggie. Parisa is asking, I was refused for 3 times under section 214B of B. Officers said to me, change the acceptance, and now I can change it. And I-20, and I want to go embassy again. Can you recommend how should I do to get an F-1 visa? Okay. I hope you can get
Yeah.
what he means.
Yeah, I think so. So for this case, Parisa, so after a number of refusals 3 times, and if you're going to try again, you really have to demonstrate what has changed in your situation. So maybe there's something that you didn't get a chance to tell the officer at your previous interviews, or you felt they didn't understand about your situation, or maybe you didn't feel that they understood your financial situation or your reason for study, et cetera. Whatever it was, you need to be telling them about what's different, because if nothing's different in your case, then potentially if you go for your 4th interview, the outcome will be the same. It will be a denial. So you really need to think about this. And this is a way that Argo Visa can really help you, because we can, during the course of the consultation, we can help you figure out what your weaknesses are, what your strengths are, and then help you to bring out those strengths and really share those with the officer, in an early and clear way, and so they understand about why you want to be a student. So I would say think about the changes in your situation, think about what's different this time around that they didn't understand before, and consider having a consultation with us at Argo to help you really convey your strengths to the visa officer, for your next interview.
All right, Maggie, thank you so much for taking that up. And I'm sure Argo visa experts, you are famous. And I can say that because there are so many folks who have joined us. And maybe you could tell us a little bit about Argo visa before we just go off for a break. Let's hear it from Maggie.
Sure, absolutely. So Argo Visa is a company that started a few years ago. We're very unique. I think we're the only company in the world that brings together former American visa officers, former American diplomats who have made decisions on visas across a whole range of categories all around the world. We have, many of us speak different languages. We have served in so many different American embassies and consulates worldwide. And so we came together because we thought that when we did work for the US government, that there were so many cases where visa applicants were not prepared and not ready for their visa interview. And they had maybe been, reading a lot of misinformation online. Maybe they had heard a lot of myths about the visa process and about what to say at the interview. And so we saw that so many people were refused visas, and it was, in so many cases it was, because they weren't prepared and they didn't have enough information about the right way to go about their visa interview and how to prepare for it. So now, now that we're out of the US government, we're doing this consulting, we can now offer insight behind the curtain into the U.S. visa process, help people uncover their strengths, help them know about their weaknesses and how to present them or how to mitigate those, but really help to tell their story and give them the best possible chance of success during the U.S. visa interview.
Absolutely. And friends out there, you can contact Argo Visa experts directly. The link is on the description below. So go check them out. And let me remind you once again that we are actually running a contest. So participate. So before we go for the break, I'm just going to put up the question once again. And if you have an answer, don't forget to comment. We are going to select the winners today itself and announce the winner at the end of the show. We are going to have just one winner actually, and the winner is going to get $100 of goodies from Hierarchy Inc. So the question is, can F-1 students legally work in the US immediately upon their arrival? True or false? Can F-1 students legally work in the US immediately upon their arrival? Reply with true or false. All right. So we'll look up for your answers. Keep commenting, and let's just go for a short break now. We'll be right back. So stay tuned to Immigration and Jobs Talk Show. This is Nipasa with Argo Visa experts, none other than Swati and Maggie.
Are you an IT consultant seeking a new opportunity? We offer job placement services for US citizens, green cards, EADs, and visa holders. We also sponsor various work visas like H-1B, E3, TN, and green cards. 20 plus years of experience in the industry. Exceptional employee benefits. Highly rated by our employees. Global presence with 200 plus recruiters and direct clients. Connect with us. Call us in the number 408-335-6444 or mail us at nipa@higheritpeople.com or visit our website www.higheritpeople.com.
Welcome back, everyone. I hope you enjoyed the break. And we are here with Maggie Ramsey and Swati Patel Vasan from Argo Visa, continuing our deep dive into immigration and visa process. Today, we're talking about F-1 visa particularly. And before we proceed, I want to remind you, yes, we are running a quiz, a contest actually, and the winner is going to get $100 worth of goodies from higheritpeople.inc. So yes, don't forget to participate. Okay, before we went off of the break, I already asked you the question, but here it is once again. Can F-1 students legally work in the US immediately upon their arrival? Reply with true or false. You can leave your answers in the comments and we'll be very happy to take them up. All right, so well, my next question is for you, Maggie, and this one is, you know, can you tell me how long will it take for a Pakistani student to complete administrative processing if they receive a pink slip 221G after their F-1 visa interview for a PhD program? But before that, what is a pink slip?
Sure. So I'll touch on this one briefly because I know that Swati covered administrative processing quite well in her previous answer. But basically, the 221G is the pending slip. It's a pink slip. It means that there's something else additional needed for processing the case. And how long this could take, it's really, there's not a fixed time frame for it. It could be several weeks. It could be several months. It really depends on, like Swati was saying, how long the processing is taking at post and elsewhere. So I think a good course of action is to check in every few weeks, check in with the embassy or consulate, see if there's anything additional that they need. But Basically, you do have to be patient and just wait it out.
Okay, so I have someone actually messaging me right now, and this one I think we should I think Swati should take this up. So, being a Pakistani national, I got a fully funded position and appeared as family with husband and two kids, but at Abu Dhabi embassy. Husband will go for 1 month to support in settlement and return back to continue his job while I manage kids with the support of daycare. Petition was filed for husband as beneficiary, derivative, which was approved in 2010, but his parents refused to pursue it further as they are settled in home country. What is your advice in our case?
Is there a way I can kind of see it on the screen? It's quite a long question.
Sure, sure. I'm just going to ask the controller. Please just give me a moment.
Yeah, sure. If I is this a F? Is this a the principal person is an F1 and her husband and kids are F4s? Is that correct?
Right. I'll just have it on the screen for you. Just hang
Sure.
on, please. So, as a family with husband and two kids at Abu Dhabi embassy, husband will go for a month to support in settlement and return back to continue his job.
Hmm.
So, so yes, that is correct, what you just said.
Yeah. Okay. And then there was something. There was. It seemed like there was a part B, something about the parents.
Petition was filed for husband as beneficiary derivative, which was approved in 2010, but his parents, so the husband's parents, refused to pursue it further as they were settled in their home country.
Ha. So
So
this
that is
sounds like
Pakistan.
this
Yes.
basically sounds like so the person is going for an F1. They want their husband and kids to go as an F4, but the husband had an immigrant visa petition pending through his parents, is what it sounds like.
Mhm.
Maggie, is that your same read before I answer this?
I, so this is an immigrant visa question. Is that right?
Yeah, it seems like there's a
Okay.
applicant that's an F1 that wants to take her husband and kids as F4, but the husband had his parents file an IV that they didn't pursue, is what it sounds like. Um, is that your read on it?
I think so. Mhm.
Yeah, I think so too. Okay, so in that case, there's two things you have to qualify for. The F1 anyways has to qualify, okay? Because the F4s will not get approved until anyways the F1 does. So assuming the F1 is getting approved, then the F4s, why is the husband need to go? It's several factors on an F4. The bona fide of the relationship is one of the most important things. And then also support. Well, does this story make sense? One is even why is this F1 leaving the kids that are XYZ ages behind and how will they manage it? That's where the F4 story potentially comes in, that I have a good job for the last X number of years. I get 1 month of leave. I'm going to help my wife and kids kind of settle into daycare and then I'm coming back to work. But regardless, when that F4 shows up for his interview, if he has had an immigrant visa petition that was filed for whatever reason rescinded, he still has to make his case on his own merits, about why he will not abuse that F4, why he will return, why he won't just convert status, etc. So I hope I've answered that kind of a bit of a complicated question without knowing more information.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Swati, for taking that up. And I hope you got your answer. So sorry I don't have the name yet, but if you could tell me, I'm sure you're listening. Where are you from and what is your name? It'll be very nice of you. Thank you. All right, so it was anonymous so far. Let's take up some more questions, please, from the audience because it's really, really blowing up, and I think we should just go with this one. Yazan is asking, the visa officer informed me in the end of the interview that my application will be under the administrative process and you will receive an update within a week. However, he took my passport, and this is an F1 question. So let's hear it from Maggie.
So the question is administrative processing again 221G, and the passport has stayed at the consulate. That's the situation.
Okay. Okay, thank you for taking that up. Yazan, tell me more, please, if you need to know. But is there anything to worry about that his passport was taken?
So generally, if the passport is kept, that means that hopefully the visa approval is coming shortly. So maybe there's just a short process that needs to be completed, something like that. I would encourage the applicant to reach out to the American Embassy and see what the current
Mhm.
status is. If they need their passport for travel, they can take it back, maybe ask how long the time frame is,
Mhm.
and see what the current status of the case is.
Okay, okay. So nothing to worry about. I think it is good news, in fact. So Yazan, please do not worry. Okay. And also, so thank you so much for answering the previous question. Her name is Zaviria Shahid. Thank you so much from Dubai. Thank you for joining us. Stay with us, please. And let's move on to another question. Let's take this up from Hyde. Hey from India. Hi. I got rejected B2 visa twice last year under 214B. Now I have applied for F1 visa. What should I do, or how do I prepare for this interview, or how should I answer, officer? Let's hear it from Swati.
Sure. So the premises of qualifying for a B1, B2 are different from an F1. So it will depend on why did you need that. The officer will again will have the notes from your previous denial. So they will already have an idea of what you said then. So why did you need that B2 twice? Why did you apply for it? And now why are you switching over to an F1? So it's got to make sense, right? Maybe you needed those B2s earlier when your whole family was applying and they all got rejected. Or maybe you were going and you didn't have a clear plan, but you were going to go with some friends. But now you've had some years of work experience and you want to go pursue an MBA. So it's really, really case dependent, but it has to make sense. That is the most important part in this preparation, is to understand why did you need those B1, B2s, and why do you now need that F1? And then the officer, us as Argoffs, can help you be able to prepare on how you present that in a clear, concise manner.
Okay, thank you so much for taking that up, Swati. And I hope, Hyde, you got your answer. Um, let's take this one from Prayas. This is on YouTube. I have fully funded PhD I-20 with graduate assistantship. Will I get the expedited appointment if I apply 60 days before my class start date? Do PhD students get F1 visa in most cases? Let's hear it from Maggie.
Sure. So, I'll take with the first question there, which is about an expedited appointment, applying 60 days before my class start date. So just so everyone in the audience is aware that you can actually apply for and be approved your student visa, your F1 visa, as 365 days prior to the start date of your program, and that's something that has changed in recent months. So again, as early as 1 year prior, 365 days prior to the start date of your program on your I-20, you can apply for and potentially be approved your student visa. So if you want to plan way far ahead, you can certainly do that. So that's the first part of the question. Thinking about the expedited appointment, if you have a start date that's coming up, you certainly, have grounds to email the US Embassy and say, look, can I please have an expedited appointment because my start date is coming up, my classes will start soon, and see if they accept that reasoning. So that's the first part. The second part about PhD students getting an F1 visa in most cases, I would say that if it is a fully funded PhD, that will certainly go a long way towards removing any doubts that the officer has about your financial situation. If you have a great situation where you're going to do a PhD, it's fully funded, that's great, because they're thinking, well, this person has the money to do their PhD. That's great. And certainly higher level studies like that, that certainly looks great. But at the same time, you do have to have the entire package there. You do have to show that you are a genuine student with, a good academics background, going to be a genuine student in the US, going to use that visa appropriately. And of course, the financial piece has to be there. If you've got a fully funded PhD, that's excellent. And then finally, you do have to show those strong ties to your home country and have that cohesive plan for return to your home country. So, yes, PhD students, have a good chance, especially if they're fully funded, but you do need to touch on all those aspects that I've talked about for the best chance of getting your visa approved.
The only other thing I want to add to what Maggie said about the new changes about you're able to apply even 360 days in advance, which is a totally new thing. So it's actually really, really helpful for a lot of students. But the other thing is on expedited appointments, if it is in the case like you had said about 60 days before and it's going to start, then you should in your portal when you've actually done you fill out your DS-160 and you have your login, etc. Usually in the left tab of your portal, there's a place on the menu that says expedite request. So you need to, after you have your appointment date, you need to go there. You need to fill out that form and submit the reasoning for why you need an expedited appointment if you're not able to get it. You get two chances basically for it. So once you submit it, and then they will the embassy or consulate respond that yes, they will prepone your appointment or not. If for whatever reason they reject your expedite request, then you get one more chance on that same interview DS-160.
Okay. Thank you for adding up, Swati, and that new update. So I hope that was helpful for all you folks out there who are listening right now. And well, we're almost nearing the end, and I really want to answer announce the winner of the contest. So we are having this contest, and w the winner, we are going to just announce one winner, and the winner is going to get $100 worth of goodies from Higher IT People Inc., and it's going to be really, really exciting. So the question was, can F-1 students legally work in the US immediately upon their arrival? And well, the answer to that is actually false. Uh, right? Do you want to answer? Any one of you, do you want to answer this before I announce the winner? Let's hear it from Swati.
Yeah, so it will depend on see the key word here is immediately upon your arrival. So it will depend on what your I-20 is sanctioning. A lot of times our F1s are allowed to do part-time work generally on campus. So it will depend on as it is it part of the purview of your program and part of your F1. Otherwise, this would be false.
Okay, and the winner is Mian Ali. All right, Mian Ali says US visa officers do their decision on databases because US have strong databases. Am I? All right, is that the winner? Sorry, I'm just having a word with my team here. Sorry about that. If I'm, am I on the right path? All right. Sorry about that. Okay, I think the winner is Devin Bond, and Devin Bond had said, I'm really sorry because there are too many comments. So the answer is false. F-1 students cannot legally work in the USA immediately upon arrival. That is the answer from Devin Bond. So Devin Bond is the winner for this contest today. Congratulations, Devin Bond. You are going to get $100 worth of goodies from higheritpeople.inc. And also Mian Ali, actually. So there are two winners. I was confused. That is why. So we have two winners, and we have Mian Ali and David Bond. Congratulations to both of you. You are going to receive the goodies very, very soon from Higher IT People Inc. All right. So thank you so much for that then. Thank you for making it clearer. And congratulations once again to the winners. So thank you so much to both of you, Maggie and Swati. I'm sorry if I was all over the place today, because it is because we have too many participants, and it was a little confusing in between a little bit because we were bombarded. I mean, in a second, there were too many. So I think you can already see in the screen, but I'm sure it's going to get better. And we are going to take our time to get to each and every one of you with our answers. So be there and keep commenting, I would say, but we are here to answer to you. So we are going to get to each one of you with an answer for sure. So thank you so much, both of you, I mean, Swati and Maggie, for joining us today.
Thank
And
you
before
so
we
much
go,
for
if
yeah,
you
thank
have
you for
any
Thanks for
inputs
having
for
thank you
us.
for
both of
so much
you.
for having me and Maggie over here from Argo. We are here to help. This is what we do. We really believe in it, and we give you genuine advice. You're really trying to understand your circumstances and help you get that visa that you need. So do reach out to us. You check us out on argovisa.com. Send us an email on hello@argovisa.com. We're happy to set you up with the right kind of officer that meets your type of visa situation.
Thank you so much. Maggie, any end note from your end?
Just to say, thanks so much for having us, Nipasa, and this has been fun. And I think we could be here all night, answering these questions. It's great to have this, level of engagement, and it's always really fun to talk to prospective students and other visa applicants. So just to reiterate what Swati said, reach out to us at Argo Visa. We're a friendly bunch, and we look forward to helping you navigate this process.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Maggie and Swati. Have a great day ahead, and I hope to see you soon. Probably next week, maybe we can get on to answering many more questions from you folks out there, wherever you've joined us from, on Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, Twitter. Well, the list goes on. And thank you so much to both of you. All
Thank
right,
you.
friends.
Thanks.
Also,
Thank you.
yes, you can even contact me also at neep@highrightepeople.com. I'll be very happy to take your answers, your questions, and forward them to the experts for sure. And don't go anywhere, because we have another show coming up with none other than my colleague and host, Rajni Barara. So stay with us here on Immigration and Jobs Talk Show, and have a great day ahead. Stay tuned.
You an IT consultant seeking a new opportunity? We offer job placement services for US citizens, green cards, EADs, and visa holders. We also sponsor various work visas like H-1B, E3, TN, and green cards. 20 plus years of experience in the industry. Exceptional employee benefits. Highly rated by our employees. Global presence with 200 plus recruiters and direct clients. Connect with us. Call us in the number 408-335-6444 or mail us at neep@highrightepeople.com or visit our website www.highrightepeople.com.